Welcome to another round of the Dr. Willow Show. That's me. And I am here to support you in bridging your sexuality, your spirituality, and the medicine inside of your own system and body so that you can become more whole in yourself and show up for your life more fully. So I'm really thrilled to be here with you today. It is an absolute gift and an honor, this life. And so today, I'm excited to talk to you about being sexually connected for life. What does that mean, being sexually connected for life? It's got a couple of different meanings. It's like dual or triple meaning, really. Sexually connected for life is like that you have this connection for the entirety of your life to your sexuality. But then it's also having this chi and this prana and this vitality that comes from sexual energy that you get to use for your life. So there's really many different ways to look at this. And I'm super excited to share with you today about, the importance of being sexually connected for life. So we posted a question in the Facebook group the other day, and the question was, do you feel fully connected to your sexual side? And some of you ladies, you posted, yes, I do. And others of you were like, not so much, definitely could use some help there. And some of you were somewhere in between. And the truth is that no matter what your answer is, no matter what is true for you, you could probably most likely be even more connected to your sexual side. We don't really get very good lessons on sexuality in junior high and high school. I mean, we are having to figure this one out on our own from the time we become pubescent and sexual beings. So, some of you are chiming in live now. Wonderful. So great to have you here. Will you write your name in the chat box if you're live so that I can see who's here? Because I'm in Restream, so I can't see your names. But I'm excited that to share this medicine with you today, because regardless of where you're at, sort of on the spectrum of feeling like you're fully connected to your sexual side, I imagine there's always more room to grow, because I consider myself someone who's very connected. Hi, Rachel. Wonderful to have you. And there is more room to grow. That's the beauty of sexual medicine and sexual work, is it's very expansive. The more you know, the more there is to know. So it's really fun in that way. Hi, Jet. And you get to really evolve as you go. So one of the things that will really help you get more connected to your sexual side is understanding the anatomy of your vajayjay, of your yoni, of your pink taco, of your sacred space, of whatever you want to call her, your vagina, your vulva. She has a whole world inside of her, and understanding the anatomy and the physiology of arousal, understanding how these different structures inside of your vagina open up to create more of an enjoyable sexual experience. You never heard of pink taco, Rachel? That's an oldie but a goodie. Understanding the anatomy, knowing the physiology of it is super important, but then also really learning how to release the trauma and the belief patterns that are stuck inside of the pelvic bowl. I've been doing pelvic floor work with women for, long time, 15 years or something. And I tell you what, every time I am up in there releasing tension, releasing pain, releasing trauma that's held in those tissues, the stories that unfold from inside the vagina are like, you can't make this shit up. Like, you can't, they're not coming from the mind. They're coming from a whole different place. And a lot of times they are very much connected to ancestry. I'll never forget one time I was working with a woman, and she had this pain and we couldn't get it, and nothing. I'll ask these kind of leading questions and talk to the tissues, and nothing that I was asking was really working, and it was not moving. The sensation she was having was this like deep uh, almost numb kind of ache. And she's like, it feels so far away. And so I just got really quiet. She got really quiet. We just kind of paused our session for a period of time, for kind of a long period of time. And then all of a sudden I was like, what about your grandma? And she was like, what about my grandma? And I was like, I don't know. What about your grandma? And she's like, that is so weird that you say that, because my family's having this whole thing with my grandma. She just passed and it's this whole estate and blah, 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 blah. And so this whole thing with her grandmother came out. And that was the ticket, that was what needed to unravel. And so, I mean, it's just profound. I'm putting it all together in a book. So someday you'll get to read these stories. But yeah, I had another session too the other day with a gal, and just, the vagina, here's what I've noticed is that it often will say the same thing, same kind of message will come through most women, which this message was very, very much what I hear from a lot of women. Take your time with me, slow down, worship me, pay attention to me. So if you've heard your vagina say that before, you're not alone. It's very, very common. She just needs more time. She needs more space, and she needs more honoring and acknowledgement. So really clearing that old trauma helps to open up the pathway to more pleasure, more sexuality, more welcoming in of that sexual experience. And then really, once that trauma is cleared and you're understanding your anatomy and you're like, woohoo, let's get things rolling. Like, let's get this juice pumping. Let's get this sexual energy moving. Then you can start to create this really beautiful connection between your yoni and your heart. There are these cells in the body, that certain kind of cell, I don't know the name of them off the top of my head, but a certain kind of cell that is found only in the yoni and the heart. So there's this really amazing like cellular connection between these two. And when they are in congruence, when they are on the same page with each other, we get to flower open our hearts. At the same time, our yonis are flowering open to receive sexuality or the gifts of the universe, whatever's coming through to you. So understanding the anatomy is really important. I'm going to tell you just a tiny little snippet, a couple things about the anatomy of your vagina, and then I'll tell you how you can learn more. So your clitoris, right? Your clitoris, as a woman, you have a clitoris, and the clitoris is this organ in your body that's only job is to receive pleasure. So, I mean, for the women out there who are not having sexual pleasure, I just want to say to you, take some time with your clitoris. There are 8,000 nerve endings on the tip of your clitoris. So all that we can touch from the outer side is the nose of the clitoris, right? And oftentimes those nerve endings are in the upper left quadrant. So check that out on yourself. If you have a little circle, that's your clitoral head. You draw a cross in it. The upper left quadrant is where most people's sensitivity is. So if you know that that's true for you already, write it in the chat box. If you have no idea, write it in the chat box. If that's something you would like to explore, write it in the chat box. And, I think that would be a fun thing for us to kind of share with each other and know. I definitely am upper left quadrant for sure. So 8,000 nerve endings, that's a lot on this teeny tiny little tip right here. Now the penis, the shaft of the penis, the entire penis has 4,000 nerve endings. So, okay, that's just crazy, right? So there's this whole structure that has 4,000 nerve endings, very sensitive. But then there's this teeny tiny, like a fraction of the size of a penis that has 8,000 nerve endings, 6,000 to 8,000, right? So it's just a lot of sensitivity to be handled. And so for most women, a lighter, softer touch is going to be the way. Now, this the head of the clitoris is what we can touch, what we can access. You got to pull the hood back, find the head, find those 8,000 nerve endings and have a little party. What happens is it starts to, the sensation, the sexual and pleasurable sensation tends to go down the legs of the clitoris. So the clitoris looks like a wishbone. It's really beautiful. Looks like a little wishbone. And so it's got these two legs that run kind of deep inside of the body, kind of right behind the labia. And so those legs, those can be, 1 inch long, maybe 1.5 inches, sometimes 2 inches long inside of your body. So the actual structure of the clitoris is so much more than what we can see from the outside. And it is connected to your pubic bone with these ligaments and these tendons and things. So there's this connection to the pubic bone. So some of you might have had that experience where, where the pubic bone, like pressure right above the pubic bone and stimulation to the G-spot feels really good to you. And it's actually amazing. You can feel your fingers through that wall of the skin. And it's just really incredible. The female body, I mean, whew, what a mystery and what an incredible thing. So the head of the clitoris is called the glans, similar to the head of the penis, called the glans. Now, if you've ever played with a penis, then you know that the head of the penis is like, is the most sensitive area. The guy's going to be like, that's often what will make him have an ejaculatory orgasm when you play with that tip of the penis. And there's so much more to know about that. There's like reflexology of the penis and the vagina. Maybe I'll do a live on that one day. There's just, the more you know, the more there is to know. So underneath, so we've talked clitoris. I think we've covered it all. Now what I want to talk about is the vestibular bulbs. Put in the chat box if you have heard of the vestibular bulbs before, and put if you haven't. It's not a sexy term, but it's a very sexy part of your anatomy, very sexy part of your anatomy. And knowing about your vestibular bulbs is crucial to having a very close, intimate relationship with your sexuality and understanding your body. So the vestibular bulbs are like these two big swaths of erectile tissue. They're in the shape of a teardrop, and they kind of form these beautiful like pillars around the entry of your vagina, which is called the vestibule. The vestibule is like the front porch of your vagina, right? So the vestibular bulbs surround the vestibule. And when those vestibular bulbs open up, then your vagina is ready to receive something into it. When they are not, when they're closed up and they're still in their, cozy little position where they haven't been sexually stimulated, they're not ready for penetration. They're not ready to be opened up and received yet. So really understanding these bulbs and the tissue and how that erectile tissue works can just make a world of difference. It really, really can. These vestibular bulbs connect to those two legs of the clitoris. So when the clitoral head is stimulated, the legs are like, hey, vestibular bulbs, we're getting excited. Let's get some erectile tissue functioning. And the vestibular bulbs start to puff up and they get really big. And that's that flowering open. That's that beautiful flowering open that the yoni gets to do before sex or before some kind of penetration. A lot of women that I speak to have pain with sex. Sex is not comfortable. It's really the queen's chamber. Ooh, I like that. I'm going to take that one. Who wrote that? That's a great one. So not understanding how the anatomy works and how the vestibular bulbs and the clitoris, how they all work together in the anatomy of arousal is really one of the biggest reasons that women experience pain during sex. They're not warmed up. They're not ready to go. And it takes time. It takes time for these. The vagina likes to take her time. She likes to be honored. She likes to be worshiped. Okay. So now when those vestibular bulbs get full and plump, they also get juicy. And so that's where that fluid comes from. That's where that sexual lubrication comes from. And it's not bad to use external lube, but your body has internal lube as well. And that's the medicine that you get to bring more attention and energy forward to. So really understanding and having the knowledge about your vulva, which is the outside of your vagina, the vagina, which is the inside of your vagina, and all the structures that coexist in there together and create this beautiful dance is a powerful way to become more connected to your sexuality and to be able to use that sexuality for your entire life. So, my friends, what I want to let you know about right now is a workshop. It's a paid workshop, okay? It's not free. Something's not free, finally. So we're doing a paid workshop on this I'm doing this with Leah Piper. So we just did the event, Dreaming the Queen Awake, and now I'm going to be offering monthly Dreaming the Queen Awake paid workshops. So this is going to be a 2-hour workshop. The one and only Miss Leah Piper. Now, when she talks about how the anatomy of arousal works, it is exciting. Some of you got to see a little bit of that during Dreaming the Queen Awake, our day-long workshop. And so you're definitely going to want to tune into this workshop. It's super affordable. There's an opportunity to bring a friend as well. So it's going to be on Zoom, and we're going to be teaching about how to arouse your vulva, because most of the nerve endings are on the outside of your vagina. So most sensations on the outer portion. I was just talking to a male friend about this the other day. He's like, I've really learned that when I stay on the outside, she gets so much hotter and so much wetter. I'm like, yeah, good to know, right? So we're going to be teaching about the anatomy of that, how to arouse the vulva, and then I'm going to be teaching you how to do a pelvic floor sweep. So how to go in and really heal that pain, trauma, old story that might be stuck inside of the vaginal tissues. We're going to be connecting it to the heart. All of this beautiful unfoldment is going to be connected to the heart. And we're really excited for offering this, and we're really excited to have you all come. So my team will be putting a link of where you can register for that below this video. And yeah, let's get some erections on. Let's get that vestibular bulb to plump up and juice up. You know, the erectile tissue of the penis is it's all in one place. It's all going in the same direction. It's all in one place. Whereas the erectile tissue of the female genitals, it's got these little pockets. It's got these little different parts. So it's a little bit more spread out, a little bit more diffuse. And so it's a different kind of, instead of an erection, it's a erection, and we get to experience it in a different way. So my friends, sending you tons and tons of love. I think that's it for now. I'll see you next Friday at 10. If ever you have a question about something, or you want me to do one of these lives on something specific, please do send me a private message. I'm happy to do that. And I'm sending you love. So have a great rest of your day. Namaste.